successful. Come watch our show, Red River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show. Ooh, 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 ooh.
Well, welcome along to Betting Weekly Live. You're with Dan Roebuck and Simon Holman. English League Cup and Copa del Rey bets, leans, analysis coming your way, plus bet splits and trends on the NBA Cup final between the Knicks and the Spurs a little bit later on. Simon, how are you? How was your profit and loss? How's your ROI at the moment? Are you winning?
Hey, that's private. You talk to me or Simon Holman, Dan? I mean, is he... Dan Roebuck and me will take you through today's games, guys. No, I'm doing great. Although I am slightly upset, and I'm going to share it with the team, and thank you for all the kind comments already in, is that I had a new cardigan that was due to be delivered. These companies upset me. 11:30 till 1:30. It was going to debut on the show as a pre-Christmas treat. And as a time of recording, it has not arrived. Now, if the bell goes, I'm not going to do a meat man and disappear to the door. It will be waiting for me at the end of the show. But we're just going to have to go with Roma. So I apologize. It should have been the new cardigan. That's upset me more than you getting my name wrong, actually. So apart from that now, everything's great.
I had some technical issues right off the bat,
Yes.
Mr. Holman. So sorry about that. Welcome in, one and all. Leslie Mack is with us. So is Ray and Duncan, as per usual. The real Brendan King says overs on the Man United Bournemouth game. Was never in doubt. Villa says the mighty Dan Roebuck and Simon Holden combo. Yes, it's a rarity, and we might not see it again. We might not see it again.
Even more one.
We'll have to wait and see. Get your thoughts and picks in the comment section, which I'm having a lot of trouble trying to find at the minute. I've got to tell you that. Big bets over the course of the last 24 hours here. $7,000 play on United Bournemouth. I can't believe this. Live over 7.5 goals here, minus 108, which obviously was a winner. I'm trying to think when that might have been placed, Simon. It was obviously late on. When did the 8th goal go in? I was hiding behind the sofa.
Well, I bet Bournemouth quite heavy. And do you know what? They had a really good chance in the dying seconds. But it was such an amazing game that actually I wasn't as upset as normal for a losing play. But either of those two that have lost that was the best game I've seen in years. Absolute wacky racist stuff, but what a game.
$5,000 playing United minus 0.75 on the Asian line, which is obviously a loser. And when that 4th goal goes in for United, you probably think you've won that one. Unfortunately, you didn't. A near $5,000 play on Porto against Estrella, live over 4.5 corners, which is a loser. $4,500 play on United on the money line, minus 125, which is a loser. That was probably pre-match, I would have thought. A lot of bets on United here. 2,000 on the over, 4.5 goal line at plus 235, which I would imagine is pre-match. And also the Rayo Betis game, over 10.5 corners, plus 410, which was a winner. I think Steve Wiss has deserted Rayo corners. Maybe Mr. Wiss was on that one, plus 410, but that is a high corner line. Well done to you if you managed to play some winning wages over the course of the last 24 hours. We are talking League Cup. We've got one game tonight, which is the Cardiff-Chelsea fixtures. But just ahead of that, Simon, we are going to take a look how the futures line up for this one. As you can see here, Arsenal and Manchester City are favourites at plus 225, 9-4 in old money. Chelsea plus 450, Newcastle plus 550, Palace plus 1,200, Brentford and Fulham both 20-1 shots. Cardiff plus 5,050 to 1. Anything catch your eye from a futures point of view?
Well, of course, the first angle to play is if you're supremely confident about Chelsea winning tonight and you think that, they're going to go on, you could ask yourself, will they shorten a bit, with a heavy win tonight? Probably very, very slightly. So that could be an angle if you're mad on Chelsea. I'm not particularly for this tournament. I think Newcastle are the play there at plus 550. Of course, we know the reigning champs. They've got absolutely no chance, really, of doing anything in the league. So it becomes Champions League and, I think, retaining this as their two main angles of attack. Now, of course, we know Man City. We know Pep loves the Cups. We know that Arsenal have a great record in this and the FA Cup. More so the FA Cup, I think. However, I do think a fully focused Newcastle, I'm doing it now, are a tough task in this. And of course, all these teams were in it last year and they did the business with very little else to concentrate on. And we know that the fans absolutely, it was just a monumental day for the club. And I just think it's probably a bigger priority for them. So I do think there is a smidgen of value at plus 550.
Get to one of the comments in just a second. I just think that probably one of Arsenal or Manchester City will win the competition. I mean, you could Dutch them at minus 160 here. Put me off that, Simon. To me, the best two teams in the Premier League. We're only a few games away from the final here. Obviously, you're in the quarterfinal. You've got a two-legged semi-final, then you've got the final, which is sort of mid-late March. So it can be done and dusted. It's not really going to impact you from a Champions League point of view or indeed a Premier League point of view. And we know that City have got a great record in the competition. Last won it in 2021. They won it, 4 times on the spin between 2018 and 2021. Since then, we've seen Liverpool won it twice, United won it once, and obviously Newcastle last year, as you mentioned. But I mean, the big two in the betting, minus 160, would you have a bit of that if you were a heavy hitter?
Well, if I was a heavy hitter. Now, the only thing I would say on that, Dan, is that in the games around the two-leg semi, that Arsenal and Man City will still have huge Premier League games. And, if I'm right, Newcastle maybe out of those three will be the team that could rest players and concentrate on this. That is just a tiny angle, I know, but you only need that little angle, don't you? I do think a fit and flying Newcastle, whatever's happened in their league season, which has been very disappointing, are still capable in a one-off of giving anybody, including those two, again.
These are the prices up on screen, as you can see, with Arsenal and Manchester City. Plus 225 the pair if you fancy a flutter on the futures. The advice will be to get your bets on ahead of the first of the quarterfinals coming your way tonight. We've got 2 tomorrow. And then, of course, 1 next week. The reason why the Arsenal game is being played next week is because Palace are involved in Conference League action on Thursday. So there has been just a little bit of a switch around in terms of the fixtures for that one. It's Man City, Brentford, Newcastle, Fulham, and Arsenal against Palace, as we've mentioned. I think I can't look beyond the top 2 in the market for that. Let's get 1 or 2 comments for you here from the guys who have been chatting about the betting action today. The real Brendan King says, looking forward to hearing some angles on a likely rotated Chelsea side today. Got a few little props for you, Brendan, coming your way. Brad Betts Footy says, good day, one and all. A lot of cups today, which means wait for the lineups. This is very true. Villa fan says, is it a Villa cardigan, Simon? Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Everything in my life, Villa fan, is now Villa orientated.
I love this. I love this. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Yeah, I mean that one. That's right.
I'll think of one while we're on. I'll get you.
That's right out of the Holden playbook. That one. Yeah. Bournemouth over 2.5 was 19-21 away in 19-21 away league matches. That is a stat to take forward. That is for sure. Christian reckons Chelsea an over 2.5. Yeah, can't argue with that one. I don't think. Although Cardiff might have some sort of squeak. Depends on the lineups massively for the game tonight. Duncan says pity about both teams scoring the Real Betis match. Yeah, 0-0 in the end. If I was on yesterday, which I wasn't, obviously, I would have advised Betis draw no bet, which at least would have been a bit of a push. A guy called Gijon. I both went 2-1 yesterday. Lost on the Bournemouth game, but managed to get it back elsewhere. This is from Lumimir, who says Newcastle look vulnerable against Fulham, in my opinion. No fit strikers, blunted by Sunderland. Pressure rising on Eddie Howe. Fulham likely to go with a strong 11. Do you think so, Marco Silva? I'm not 100% certain, but Louis Mitt reckons that Fulham +1, this is a game tomorrow, of course, at 2.15, plus 115 covers the tie going to pens as well. That is true. And Duncan says the two-legged semi-finals always means there's less chance of an upset in that round. Very true. Good spot. Ming has been with us as well. If Paris can get past Arsenal, they're a huge runner. Tend to agree with that. And they have rotated for the games previously against Millwall and Liverpool, but not that much, not as much as you think. A lot of the regular back five have played. They do swap out the keeper. Benitez plays instead of Henderson, but Gay has played. Lacroix has played. We've seen the fullbacks play. No, Munoz is out at the minute, but I don't think it's beyond Palace getting through Arsenal, but it all depends on the lineups next week. Let's move on to the games that we've got coming up today. First up, Mr. Holden, is Cardiff against Chelsea. Let's take a look at the prices as they are at the moment. Cardiff plus 700 here. They have been bet. Chelsea were around about minus 330, 350 earlier today. I don't know if a bit of team news has been leaked or not. The tie plus 410. Cardiff, obviously top of the third tier in England by 4 points. They have won 6 of the last 7. They've beaten Huddersfield and Stevenage recently, and both teams are in and around the playoffs. They beat Doncaster, who aren't, 4-3 at the weekend. Chelsea 4th in the Premier League, as we know. And they beat Everton at the weekend. That was their first win after 4 without. Chelsea, we know, are going to rotate, Simon. But Enzo Maresca has said that Cole Palmer won't play. And then we've got all this nonsense about him sending out the worst 48 hours ever around the Everton game. I mean, what do we make of that? What are your thoughts on Cardiff-Chelsea tonight?
Well, Cardiff's last 5 home games. They've won them all. Obviously, they're streaking clear, a much lower level of football. They have scored 4 goals twice, 3 goals twice, and 2 goals the other time. And they've only kept 1 clean sheet. So I don't think Cardiff can afford to sit back. I think they've got to have a go at Chelsea. Now, you alluded to the fact that there's been money for Cardiff. Now, that could be one of 2 things, couldn't it? It could be people have got wind of Chelsea rotating, or it could be, and this we must get across to our American viewers what is going on here. The English media and the social media is now chock full of rumours, speculation that all is not well at Chelsea, Dan, particularly between the owners and the manager. Now, the question is, will this young team have any interest in that? And will that have any bearing on tonight's game? But anybody who thinks that Chelsea can just turn up, play, whoever they want and roll Cardiff over, I think he's been a little bit naive.
I think that's fair. I mean, I quite like Cardiff on the handicap. The price has gone a little bit. I was looking for plus 175 on the Asian line, but it's now more like 1.5 start. And if Chelsea turn it on, they could obviously win. And 1 or 2 of the commentators talking about the lineup tonight. I mean, Chelsea are going to rotate. I think it's going to be a Tosin Badiashile centre-back partnership. Hatter will probably play as well. The interesting aspect here is that Caicedo has been banned for the last 3 games. He is free from suspension. Now, normally, you'd never suggest that he might start, but because he's not played for 3 Chelsea games, in domestic play at least, then he might just come in, which just sort of muddies the waters a little bit. And Esteval, who has only been a sub in the last couple of games for Chelsea, needs minutes. He's only played something like 10 and 15 minutes the last 2 games. And he would be an interesting one for me if he starts. Might be Gittins, might be Buonanotte. It's not going to be Mark Guiu because he played for Sunderland in the earlier rounds of the League Cup. So he's cup tied. We might see a little bit of Santos playing. We might see Achiapong as well and Tosin as well, as we mentioned. So it's mix and match. I've got the Karabag lineup in my brain for this one, Simon. I know you have as well. And that was a 2-2 draw away from home. I just think that Cardiff, with Brian Barry Murphy, who was the Man City Academy coach for a few years, he's going to play. I don't know if he's going to be first choice, but he's going to be near first choice. They've got a good core of Welsh players. A lot of academy players have come through. They've got 6 Welsh players in the squad that have featured in 15 or more games in League One this season. So there's a good core there of local lads. One or two others as well that have come in. I'm prepared to take them at +1.5 at -120. What's your sort of moneyline Asian play for this one, Simon?
Well, firstly, please, when we finish here, before you watch the dojo, pop over to Instagram where I've got an exclusive bet in this as part of our Advent calendar. So I'll be slightly different here, but that will certainly give you a flavour. What only thing I'd say, Dan, is this rotating from Chelsea, this, whoever they play, no worries type attitude. Didn't they turn up at Ellen Road recently with that kind of
absolutely
attitude and come somewhat unstuck from an aggressive, high-tempo team? Now, I'm not saying Cardiff are in that league, but that's the kind of first 20-minute onslaught we're going to get. Don't get me wrong, on the money line, I see Chelsea ultimately winning this. Not comfortably, but, getting through. However, it wouldn't surprise me if Cardiff scored first. Wouldn't surprise me if this was a Cardiff win or draw at halftime and then the quality starts to kick in. But, we've seen those last 5 home results. If ever a team is full of confidence and ready to have a real go at a top Premier League team, and of course, people might not realise this is not pleasant. I mean, it's not in any offensive way to our West Ham. I'm running out of pals as it is, right? But this is not a pleasant place to go. Let's add in a December freezing cold night with an aggressive, hostile crowd. This is going to be a serious test for Chelsea. It's one of those games where the initial look, isn't it? You look at the draw. Chelsea will be happy. Cardiff, probably the worst team left in the tournament. The lowest league, take care of business. What a great draw. And then as it nears, and these off-field issues, it could be easy to overstate their importance. But one thing's for sure, it isn't going to help Chelsea tonight that the manager's got himself in big trouble with the owners. It isn't going to help matters. How far it hinders them is a different question. But yeah, I can see Cardiff giving this a right old go and ultimately coming unstuck. So the question with that handicap now is how much value is in it, the old +1, +1.5. What do you need before you start seriously getting involved in Cardiff? Is there enough there for you, Dan?
I think +1.5 is all right. I've seen one or two of the comments, and DPM is on suggesting that he would prefer a higher Cardiff handicap, something like +2 or even +3. I don't think you're ever going to get that. But I think +1.5 is fine. Chelsea might come out with this, something like a 3-2 success. They could even get beat. I mean, there's a lot on the lineups, as we know. And you mentioned that Leeds game, because anyone who saw that, Chelsea were all over the place at the back. Tosin had an absolute nightmare. Real Brendan King says Simon's analysis has me considering both teams to score over 2.5 goals. We have got the first leg of the daily double. We're splitting the daily double today, Simon. We have got the first leg of the daily double, haven't we, from you in this one?
It is both teams to score for many of the reasons that I've just given. There's a couple of other prop bets that you like, but I just think that's quite a safe thing because obviously it covers you for the shock. It covers you if it's reasonably tight. And just going through Cardiff's recent record, scoring goals is not a problem for this team. We'll come to the prop bets. There's at least 3 players I quite fancy to be a goal threat tonight from Cardiff. So it's not like they're relying on one player either. Both teams to score. We know that Chelsea are going to have periods in this game where they're dominating it. And the longer it goes on, the more that's likely to happen. But like I do think the interesting thing is, can Cardiff get a lead and for how long can they hold on to it? So both teams to score for me looks a very solid play tonight.
Both teams to score is the first leg of the daily double, round about -113 at the minute. I mean, over 3 goals on the Asian line, I think is fine. Cardiff are the League One's top scorers with 36. They've conceded 20 as well. They're not great at the back. Cardiff games in League One have averaged nearly 3 goals per game. It's 4th highest in League One. I know this is different. I know it's a cup game, so it is different. But I like both teams to score that Simon's put up for the first leg of the daily double. I like Cardiff at +1.5 as well. And over 3, I don't think you're going to go too wrong. Chelsea beating Lincoln away 2-1. Wolves away 4-3. Just in terms of lineups and props here, Simon, I've got 3 players that I'm looking at. I mean, I mentioned Esteval before. And the first bet I looked at was score and assist, or score or assist, which is minus 118. He's only been the sub in the last 2 games. He might not start. It's one of those ones, do you trust a teenage Brazilian in the valleys? I'm not quite so sure. But he needs minutes. So I think he might. When he has started games this season, it's not so much his assists, it's the goals. He's scored in 9 of 15 for club and country, quite a few for Brazil as well. He's only got 1 assist all season, incidentally. So I would rather back him anytime goal scorer plus 160. Only a lean, and a couple of Cardiff players to look at. Yusuf Salek, I'm sure he's on your shortlist. He's plus 102 for a shot on target, so over 0.5 shots on target. Young Danish striker, 10 goals in League One this season, 18 starts in League and Cup this campaign. He's had a shot in target in 12 of those, so implied probability of 66.7, which is minus 200. We're getting just over even money about minus 200 shot. I know it's a cup game. I know it's Chelsea. It's different, but I still think there's a little bit of value. And have a look at Callum Robinson. Yes. Might not start, but he was put up for the press conference by Cardiff, which makes me think he might get a bit of a run out tonight. And I suspect you've got the stats for him, Simon, for this one. But he's got a great record against Chelsea. And you can bet him at plus 500 anytime goal scorer, or plus 160. Plus 160. For over 0.5 shots on target. Have I stolen your thunder with those names?
No, because we're a team, Dan. Although if you'd read my other email, do not mention my Callum Robinson thing. It says in capitals. So I'll speak to you later, son. This is a big-time player. Not big-time player. This is a big game player. Great record against Chelsea. I think this is the sort of night that Cardiff bought him for. I think he's experienced. I think he's the sort of guy that will have a big night tonight. I couldn't believe that price. He's having a good season, like many Cardiff players. Incidentally, that Youssef striker, I hear that there's a few big clubs sniffing round him. So he'll be keen to, I'm not suggesting he's trying to get out of Cardiff, of course, but it wouldn't hurt his long-term prospects to have a big night tonight, would it? But yeah, I think Callum Robinson will, I'm fairly sure he'll start. If not, it's somebody he'll throw on at half-time, I would think. But yeah, I think that's a big price for him, getting behind that inexperienced, if they do rotate defence. And he's an aggressive player. And we saw against Leeds, come back to it, that Chelsea did not like high balls into the box and are like a team really going for it. And if you watch Cardiff, that's exactly the way they play at home. There's no point at all Cardiff coming out here and trying to be cagey and playing it along the back line. If they do, they'll get beaten easily. Their only chance is to get people out wide and get high balls in. And he's the sort of player who could benefit from that. So yeah, Callum Robinson, anytime scorer for me. Whatever happens, that is too big.
Plus 500, the price. He's played 3 times against Chelsea in his career. He's got 5 goals, 1 for Sheffield United, and then 2 home and away for West Brom in a 3-3 draw and a 5-2 win at Stamford Bridge. So he's just got that happy knack of scoring against the Blues. He's not been a regular starter, as Simon pointed out, in the league, but he is a player with an awful lot of talent. They put him up in the press conference, which is usually a little bit of a tell that he's going to play. That is the Chelsea game. Both teams to score, yes, is part of the daily double. I like plus 1.5 Cardiff on the Asian line. We've had a $3,000 play on that, incidentally. It's not my money, at plus 102. We've had $2,300 play on both teams to score, yes, at plus 107. It's now minus money. That could be Simon's money. Both teams to score has failed to hit in 5 of Chelsea's last 8 games. These are the trends. Forget the trends. The under 3.5 goals market is hit in 7 of Chelsea's last 10 League Cup games, and the over 3.5 has hit in 6 of Cardiff's last 8 games. So mixed messages from the trends, but this is a cup game, as we know. Incidentally, if you've got a BetRivers account, if you can log on and use the app, you'll be able to watch Cardiff versus Chelsea live tonight. It's a 3 p.m. Eastern kickoff. We've also got Swiss Super League action, plus 5 Dutch Cup matches that are streamed live as well. Let me just give a name check to Peter, who is our resident Dutch expert. He's put 1 or 2 picks in the chat. So just go back to have a look at that. This is Peter Chalkins, who's put up some good information regarding some of the Dutch Cup games that take place tonight. And we've got 5 live on the site for you. Also, Egypt against Nigeria, which is a friendly, and Benfica B are in action in the second tier in Portugal as well. Plenty of live streaming action for you. We're going to talk Copa del Rey next. Plenty of matches to take a look at here. And we've got the second part of our daily double as well. This is the slate for the 5 games tonight, and some really interesting ones. Deportivo against Mallorca first up here. There has been some support for Depor here. They are plus 180 against Mallorca, who are now plus 210. Now, the interesting thing here, if you were with myself and Will White about 2 weeks ago for the previous round of this, he was suggesting back the underdog on the Asian line, back the sort of 3rd and 4th tier sides. And he's absolutely right. I think 5 out of 6 managed to win on the handicap line that particular night. It's a little bit tougher this evening. Depor are a second tier side. They're second in Segunda as well. They did slide down to the 3rd tier not so long ago. They're not the same side, Simon, that me and you used to watch all those years ago. The likes of Roy Mackay, Diego Tristan, who got to the Champions League semi-final back in 2004 and won the league, of course, in 2000.
Didn't they split Barca and Real Madrid one year in the league?
They were fantastic. Yeah, they won it. They won it in 2000. They were absolutely fantastic. They were a brilliant team, great to watch. You'll recall... they came from, was it 4-0 down? Someone in the comments will know this. That remember 4-0 down or 4-1 down against Milan in the quarterfinal of the Champions League. Came back to win. Incredible comeback. Diego Tristan, one of the best strikers of that particular era. Anyway, they are not that anymore. this particular vintage, nothing
that team could beat this one, and they're all in the 50s.
I'd wager even now, they're all in the 50s. Look, I think this is a difficult one. I've got a couple of props, just leans in this one. Let's just get the prices back up here. I mean, have you got anything for us in this one, Simon? Deportivo Mallorca?
My stronger ones are in the other 4. However, now I've slagged Deportivo over. I really ought to say that this is a very poor Mallorca side, and I do think this will be a home team game. So they're good enough to go through, but have no chance of winning the competition.
Yeah, look, it's Mallorca, obviously, on the top tier side here, but it's interesting that there's been an awful lot of money for Depor, because when I did my notes for this earlier today, they were plus 180, and they flip-flopped in terms of the market here. Look, both of these two sides have rotated in the Copa del Rey this season, so it's a really difficult one to get a handle on before we know the teams. This game kicks off at 1 p.m. Eastern, so team news will be out in around about half an hour, I would have thought. A couple of players that have been cup strikers and cup strikers only. They have not started a league fixture. For Depor, it's Christian Herrera, who's plus 390 to score at any time. He started both Copa del Rey games, and he's scored in both. He's got 3 Copa goals this season. He's not started a league game. He's 10 sub-appearances in La Liga this season. So plus 390, Herrera, anytime goal scorer, and Abdon Roger Prats for Mallorca, who again hasn't started a La Liga game this season. He's 33 now. He's generally used off the bench. He's plus 250 anytime goal scorer. He's got 4 goals in the Copa del Rey. So just a couple of leans there. Herrera and Prats are the 2 that I'm going to follow for Depor and Mallorca, respectively. The other early kickoff, Simon, is the Eibar Elche game.
The All-Segunda clash.
Yeah, Eibar are 20th in Segunda. Elche are 11th in La Liga, Simon.
Yes. Next year, I believe it will, when they go down, yes.
Well, they're doing all right at the minute.
They never finish top
flight. No, that's true. They're probably doing a bit better than their numbers suggest. My lean on this one is over 2.5 goals. What you got for us in Eibar Elche?
I have got both teams to score, yes.
Fair.
And like you, over 2.5. So we are in unison here, Dangerous.
We are indeed. Look, there's been money for Elche over the course of the day. Eibar are plus 215 at the moment here. Look, there are A decent
strong favourite now, Elche.
Yeah, they are. But Eibar are a decent second-tier side by and large. They finished in the top 5 in 3 of the last 4 seasons. But they've not been beyond the third round of the Copa since 2017. 9 of their last 10 home games in the Copa have been over 2.5. And all 4 of the Copa del Rey games featuring these two sides this season have been over 2.5 as well. So I'm going to play over 2.5. For you, it's...
Over 2.5.
And... Both teams to score, yes.
Both teams to score.
Have you got anything else on this one, Simon?
I've got to be honest. I want to talk about Barca for a long time.
Well, just before we get into Barcelona, because it is the second leg of the daily double, just a word on the Eldense Real Sociedad game here. Eldense in the and this was a game that I'd marked on my list, on my Excel spreadsheet. And I thought to myself, this is a game you've got to get with the lower league side. Reasoning was La Real having a shocking season. But as we were just talking about before we came on air, you mentioned to me Sergio Francisco was sacked after the weekend defeat to Girona. They were beaten 2-1 at home. They've lost their last 3 in La Liga now. And I just wonder, with Ion Anstrategi now in charge, only temporary charge, and he's come up through the ranks, a former player. He was in charge of La Real's B team and still is technically. He's got the job for tonight. I don't know how long he's going to have it for, but obviously if they do well, he'll have a chance of getting the job permanently. And it just makes me think that maybe this is one to say out. It's a no bet for me. Even though Eldense are good, they've only been beaten once at home this season. They're a third-tier side that are just outside the playoffs. But for me, Simon, no bet. Anything for you on this one?
Well, you could argue that it's one of those where the Sociedad players might do the old pull together for the new boy,
exactly.
Might they? Or a lot of them might be happy the guy's gone. Now, really, they should still, even if he was in post, be beating this team, shouldn't they? They should have too much.
They should do, but they've been in free fall. They've had, they've sold too many players over the last few transfer windows. And I feel a little bit for the manager that came in because obviously the guy who was so good for Real Sociedad got them into the Champions League a few seasons ago. Imanol Alguacil, now coaching out in Saudi, he left, and it's just been a problem that the likes of Zubimendi has gone, and prior to that, Marino had gone. They've lost a lot of their star players, and I just think that, if Francisco is still in charge, Eldense might be a little bit of a bet on the Asian line, but I'm going to swerve them because they've got a temporary coach tonight, and he might well play a stronger side than we think that they might. Guadalajara, Barcelona, then Simon, you got plenty to say on this one. Hopefully, Guadalajara.
Hopefully.
Well, they're
Barca.
Go on.
Dan, I'm sure you know this. Barca's record in this competition is one of the great domestic cup records in world football. So when we look at teams and wonder, they're bothered about this. This is a competition they take great pride in. They're the reigning champs. They won it in 2021 again, and they have won this 32 times. So I just think that's an incredible stat. So it is really expected that you do the business in this. And, on the Asian handicap, I think they're a play today. I think they could put on another of their master classes at poor old Guadalajara. So I think this is the bet on the card, on the slate here. And I know you share my views, Dan, as it forms the second part of our daily double.
It does, but the second part of the daily double is over 3.5 goals, minus 137. Let me just make sure I've got that right. As it stands at the minute. Where are we? Minus 157. It's coming a little bit.
We have movement.
We have a little bit of movement. Look, it's still part of the daily double.
Yeah.
I can't see how this one doesn't cop. Whether Guadalajara will contribute to the goal line, I'm not so sure. They're a third-tier side. They are based just east of Madrid. Their stadium holds only 6,000. If you can get it, if you've got a ticket for this one, it'll be some atmosphere in there at the Estadio Pedro Escatin. They're through to the third round for the first time ever. This is the first meeting between the two as well, but they are in shocking form in the third tier in Group 1 of the Primera Federation. They lost to Castilla at the weekend, which is Real Madrid's reserve team. If you look at the Barcelona website and look at their Twitter feed, there is a full-strength squad travelling to the capital for this one.
Terrifying.
Yamal, Rashford all played at the weekend. They're all in the squad line. They're not all going to play, but there will be mix and match. And if you look at what Barcelona have done in this competition at this stage previously, last season they beat another lower tier side in the shape of Barbastro by 4-0. They beat Unionistas by 3-1 the previous year. Prior to that, they beat Thueta by 5-0 away from home. All wins, all over 3.5 goals. So we're going to play the over 3.5 goal line as part of the daily double. We know how good Hansi Flick's side are this season. They've got 49 goals in 17 games in La Liga. They've won their last 5. They're the title favourites. I think they will keep their foot to the floor, Simon, for this one. So Barcelona, just over 3.5 goals in the match. Guadalajara may contribute. You never know with that high line that Hansi Flick likes to employ. They might get a goal. Barca will come good. But as long as
anybody gets a chance against Barca, don't
well,
they
do. This is it. I mean, it's a ridiculous way to play. It's a completely ridiculous way to play, but it's working for them. They'll never win the Champions League like that. That is for sure. But in terms of La Liga and in terms of this Copa del Rey fixture away at Guadalajara, I think they will come good. They might have to, listen, Simon, they might have to do a little bit of the heavy lifting when it comes to the goal line. You know, that's something that we all have to bear every now and then. You know that as well as anybody else. Sometimes you have to put the shift in for others, but we are a team, as you mentioned. Let's just remind everyone of the slate tonight. The one game that we've not talked about is the Sporting Gijon against Valencia fixture. Now, Simon, I was massively tempted by Valencia here. I've been following Valencia over the last few weeks because, as you mentioned to me before we came on air, Carlos Corberán changed his style recently. He was 4-4-2 back end of last season and this season. Didn't really get the results this season. He's changed to 4-2-3-1. And prior to the game against Atleti at the weekend, his team were unbeaten in 5 playing that particular style. Now, he could revert to type tonight. I hope he doesn't because I think he's found a better formula. They were beaten at the weekend, but they did win the XG battle 1.2-1. So I wanted to play him on the money line at plus 118. Are they? Are they plus 118? What are they? Where are they? Plus 117.
Plus 117.
I want to take that, but as with all these games, I want to wait until we get the team to see exactly what Corberán's going to do here. Gijon are decent. They're one place out of the place, and I saw one of the commenters suggesting maybe they're the play on the Asian line. Not for me, I've got to say that. They have won their last 3, but their last 6 games have all been under 2.5 goals. And when Valencia have played 4-2-3-1, they've also seen all of their games under 2.5 goals as well. Under 2.5 is short, as you can see. It is minus 159. If you want to go to the Asian line at minus 120, I think it is, for under 2.25 goals, that will be my bet tonight on this one. Have you got anything for us, Simon, on Gijon against Valencia?
As I and Simon Holman said before.
Did I really say that? I don't think I said that.
Not a daily double. Let's not get confused. But I've got a little double tonight in these games. Valencia on the money line with the Barca over 3.5. Now, I think the quality will count today. Now, I'm the poor man's meat man with the corner bets. How dare I even mention corner? The great man. He owns the corners. However, I do think a little prop caught my eye. Over 4.5 corners, Valencia. They are a team that have been creating a lot of corners. And I just think against weaker opposition, who they're outclassing, there might be a lot of play in the final third. And logically, it could transpire that we get the over 4.5. So that's my little prop bet, but I am having the double, not the daily double. Please don't confuse things. It is Valencia on the money line and the Barca on the goals market. So, yes, I think Valencia are a quality team and that will show. Of course, we know that the opposition are in the run-in for promotion, but do think quality will count tonight, Dan, and they could land us that nice, tasty little Spanish double.
Yeah, I couldn't argue with that at all. I know I'm going to get mugged into betting Valencia. I'm going to wait for the team just to see what it is. But as long as I've not rotated too much, I may well.
You may even just get mugged, actually. But
yeah, I could do. Well, listen, I'm in North London tonight. I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm at my pal's house tonight, so
exactly.
I'm in North London. Anything can happen. Stoke Newington is a dangerous place to be. Matesk says maybe taking Sporting Gijon on the money line. Solid at home. Valencia struggling. they're not, Mattes. That's the
Valencia never struggling.
They've tweaked their tactics, and I think they're a little bit better. They're a lot more solid. That is for sure. Lumia says both teams score no on the Guadalajara game. Barca looks juicy at anything around 1.9. Guadalajara have averaged only 1 goal scored per game. At their level, Barca are going to go gung-ho. Is there a 52.63% chance of conceding? Yeah, well, the problem is it's Barcelona, and they do concede. As Simon was rightly pointing out, they can be wide open. So it's one of those situations where I would rather have a Guadalajara goal on my side.
Did you
just
see
in case.
what
I just play the overs. Just play the overs.
What Hansi Flick said there just when he was asked at a recent press conference about them playing so far forward and this high line that's been so criticised. He said, how can you tell how many more goals we score by all our players being so far forward? And that negates how many we let in. I thought it was quite a clever answer because he's taking so much stick. But what he's actually saying is, I'm not bothered if we get the occasional, goal on the back of playing like this. We score so many more. So bear that in mind next time you're having a pop at his tactics.
Yeah, I think a lot of bettors can get drawn. You get a short price favourite, and you're trying to squeeze a bit of value out of it, and you immediately look to nil. And with Barcelona and with other teams, with Barcelona, it can be one of those ones that'll just steer you towards the poorhouse. That is a problem. Dave says, yeah, that offside trap is suicide. Look, they're probably they could win 5-1, but they're just susceptible to conceding. That is the problem. Peter says, yeah, big Barca fan here. Odds are spot on. I think it will be tight, but with Gerard Martin in the centre, I would risk my own candy on it. I mean, Peter, you'll know. I saw on Twitter the squad list. I mean, all the big boys are going to play. I know Rashford played at the weekend, but Rooney Bargi might start tonight. Lewandowski didn't start at the weekend. I mean, if Lewandowski is starting away at Guadalajara, I mean, the third tier side are in a little bit of trouble. The real Brendan King says 4 Asian total Barcelona game is tempting. Very much so. 4 for a push. Very, very tempting. I get that. Meat Man Soccer, Steve's with us. Valencia have been on my radar for corners, says the Meat Man, the great man himself. So come on, Simon. That's
like the owner
seal of approval,
cardigan,
isn't it? That
it's like the owner of a cardigan shop coming out and saying, "What a great cardigan you wear." It's like the ultimate. Thank you, Meat
Man. Let's just remind you then of the daily double, because the daily double picks are out. If I can find the graph, I'm struggling with the graphics in the comments today. I'm out of my comfort zone. Guadalajara, Barcelona over 3.5 goals in the match. And Cardiff, Chelsea, both teams to score yes.
What a bet.
Plus 189. I've had to tell you, Simon, I'm 1 from 1 with a daily double.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd put it out there. How's your success rate?
Well, I mean, I'm no maths expert, but if that's not 100%, I'm Dutchman. So, you're doing fantastic. And get over to Instagram, folks, for that exclusive other pick in the Cardiff Chelsea game. How many do you want?
Peter says, I think they'll start energetic, keep their foot off the gas second half, let the youngsters play. Yeah, that is fair. I'm hoping for goals in that one. That is the daily double for you. Guadalajara, Barcelona in the Copa del Rey, over 3.5 goals. That's my part. Simon's is Cardiff against Chelsea. We're
a team, dangerous.
We're a collective. We win together, we lose together. But if it loses and it's your fault, then I'm coming for you.
Hey. You've changed.
I know. One final piece of business. So, in fact, before I do that, let me just run through where the splits are for the Depor for the Copa del Rey games tonight. Depor against Mallorca. Most of the money on Mallorca. Interesting because Depor have been backed here. Most of the money on overs as well. Eibar against Elche. 69% of the money, 73% tickets on Elche. So the away team, the La Liga team, has been bet. Most of the tickets on overs. For the Eldense Real Sociedad game, interestingly, there's not been that much money on the money line, which makes me think that people are just keeping their powder dry for the team news for that one, given it is Ariel and the new coach. Most of the cash has come for overs. Guadalajara, Barcelona, 98% of the money and 95% of the tickets on overs. And how about this, sports fans? We've had a $3,000 play on Barcelona team total over 4.5 at plus 295. That's a sizable wager on Barca grabbing 5 or more goals. Incidentally, the over 3.5 goals market is hit in 9 of Barcelona's last 10 Copa del Rey matches, and the over 3.5 goals market is hit in 9 of Barca's last 14 matches, full stop. So it all points to overs in that game. In the Sporting Gijon Valencia game, most of the cash has come Valencia. 77% of the money, 72% of the tickets on the overs. I like the unders on that one. There's a little bit of a lean, though. And the under 2.5 goals market has hit in 9 of Gijon's last 10 matches. So the trends and the money saying slightly different things. Before we go and get a final word from Simon as well, I'm just going to give you the latest news, if I can find it, if it's still there, on the NBA tonight, because we have got NBA Cup action. It's the NBA Cup final, which is a relatively new competition. Some of the regular conference games contributed to teams qualifying for the semis and the final. It's in Las Vegas tonight. This is an 8:15 tip-off. Spurs against the Knicks. Spurs plus 117. Knicks minus 139 on the spread. Spurs get 2.5 points. The over and under points total here, minus 110 the pair, is 234.5. Just to give you some trends on where the cash has been going if you're playing on the NBA tonight. On the money line, 54% the money on the Knicks, 58% the tickets on the Spurs. So therefore it's the smart money on the Knicks and the rec money on the Spurs. On the spreads, 60% the money, 53% the tickets on the Knicks. The over and unders, most of the cash has come for the over points total of 233. The line has nipped up to 234.5. 5 of the last 6 games between the Spurs and the Knicks have gone over the total points line, and the Knicks have covered the spread in 9 of their last 10 games, and the Knicks have also won each of their last 6 games against Western Conference opponents. Those are the stats. Those are the trends and where the money's gone for the action coming your way tonight in the NBA, which is the NBA Cup final between the Knicks and the Spurs. Simon, final word from you. I'll reiterate the daily double in a second, but just give us your last thoughts on the action tonight.
Well, one of my favourite contributors, one of our many brilliant ones, a guy called A. He's on the Spurs, on the money line and on the spread. So a guy called A, I'm going to go in with you. They always say don't trust Spurs in a final, but let's hope these boys are not infected by the same as their namesake. So, yeah, I'll join you on that. We'll watch that. And, of course, I think it's going to be a great game tonight in Cardiff. I think Cardiff will start quickly. I think they may get a lead, and Chelsea will ultimately outclass them, but it might take deep into the second half, Dan. So we're in for a fun night. And of course, Barcelona, it could be a massacre. One of the great nights in Guadalajara history, drawing the mighty Barca in this cup, but it'll be one that they may wish to forget quickly. So I think we've got a great double. I think you're going to stay. That's my prediction. Dangerous Dan Roebuck will be 100% on daily doubles at close of play tonight.
I hope so. Guadalajara, Barcelona over 3.5 goals. Both teams to score in the Cardiff Chelsea game, plus 189 at the moment. 1 or 2 comments in regarding the NBA action tonight. Always get the show on replay so you can get the picks from all of the gang that have contributed to the show today. Have you got anything late here? I did spot something a bit random from DPM who says, anyone going for South Shields Peterborough Sports? I think they'll bounce back after 2 losses. Your knowledge, DPM, is better than mine, because that must be significantly lower league in England. That's
if you'd said North
Shields, 8th or 9th tier. Yeah, South Shields. Peter's got some decent bets on the Dutch Cup as well. Look, comments are there. We're on replay as per usual. That wraps it up from us today. Don't forget, we've got our late show where Mike and Doug are going to be talking about the NBA Cup final, of course, in a lot more detail and probably a lot more sense than myself and Simon could ever possibly give you. But hopefully we can have...
dangerous.
hopefully we can have a winning day when it comes to the soccer tonight from myself and from Simon this evening. Good luck with your bets tonight. Hopefully we can cash some tickets, and it'll be myself and the boss, Nigel, tomorrow. When we talk league, too late, Simon.
It's never too late, Dangerous.
That's very true.
But, however, yeah. Have a great time, man. Let's cash some winners, folks.
Let's cash some tickets. Have a good night tonight, and we'll speak tomorrow.